and welcome to this week's YouTube video. Today I'm going to be painting this lovely fox red retriever, and I'm going to be talking about whether you need to be talented to be an artist. So hopefully you'll stay with me as we progress through this time-lapse video, and we also discuss this topic as well. So people always say to me a lot of the time that they think that I'm very talented, and I'm always very appreciative of such lovely comments. But I wanted to talk about this topic in a little bit more detail and touch on whether a person actually needs to be talented to be a good artist. I wonder what your thoughts are. So do you need to be talented then to be a good artist? My answer to that would be, well, it depends on how you define the term talented. So for me, talent, it really means just hard work. And I think that's true of anything, really. If you're prepared to work hard, then I think anyone can attain a very high level of skill as an artist. And the more you practice, the more you will improve. So this is great news because it means that we can all get better no matter what level we are if we all put the work in. So what do I mean then by hard work? Well, painting, it's just a set of processes that you go through from beginning to end, and it's just about learning this process. So what I thought I'd do today was that I'd outline the process for you very briefly, and I talk a little bit about each aspect in turn. Realistic painting, it starts with a good reference photo, or perhaps a reference photo that you've amended. So it's very rare that I actually get given as a commission a reference photo that is perfect and I don't have to do anything to it. And very often I have to sit down and I have to look at the photo and plan what I'm going to do to it. So, for example, usually the animal is surrounded by a busy background, or the light isn't very good, or there might be something obstructing part of the animal. So I'll have to sit down and plan what it is I think I'm going to do to this picture. And so what I tend to do is I tend to drop the reference photo into Procreate, and then I start to plan around the animal, the background, if I need to change the light, if I need to add any additional detail to the animal itself. I'll figure out if I'm going to change the colours, maybe the background colour. What parts of the painting am I going to paint loosely? Where is my central point of focus going to be? Which lines will I paint soft? Which lines will I paint hard? So I'll do all this in Procreate before I start. Now, you don't have to use Procreate. You could use something like Photoshop if you prefer Photoshop. But these programs, they're really great because they give you the opportunity to figure out what you want the final composition to look like before you start. It's very, very, very hard to try and work it out as you're going along. In terms of the composition, because I have to sit and plan the composition of the piece, like where I'm going to place the animal in relation to its background, I use different tools to help me do this. So, for example, I very much like the harmonic armature. So if you're not really sure what this is, I'm going to demonstrate briefly with this little diagram. So this is basically the harmonic armature. It's a set of lines that are symmetrical. It gives you a lovely pattern. And it's basically to help you to try and create balance in your work. You can also use other grids such as the golden ratio as well for like rectangular compositions. But you can use these grid templates as a guide for figuring out where you need to place the objects. So I'm just going to drop in a couple of my paintings just to show you exactly what I mean. So in the first diagram, notice where the dog's head sits in relation to the shapes of the harmonic armature, and have a look at where the points of his head cross over onto the points on the grid reference. You can see how the dog intersects specific lines on the grid. And on the second painting as well, if you turn the dog into its most basic abstract shapes, you'll see how the shapes of the dog are repeated in the negative space. So I use these grids all the time for helping me to work out what will make a good composition, what I need to amend, what I need to change, where I need to put my negative space, where I need to put maybe some shapes in my negative space to help repeat the shapes that the dog's body is making. So it's a very, very, very useful tool. Try laying these grid lines across some of the old masters' paintings, and you'll see that all these paintings were pretty much constructed in this way, using some kind of grid as their guide. So before I've even started painting a stroke, my painting has been entirely planned. So this means I'm much more likely to produce something that is more successful than if I don't plan anything at all. So when you actually sit down to start painting at the easel, whether you choose to paint in layers like I do or alla prima, you have to make sure that you get your tonal values right, and you also get your temperatures correct. So you're moving between your warms and your cools. So I'll just show you on this diagram briefly of the dog that we're painting at the moment, how I've moved between warm and cool on this piece of work. You need to plan your colour harmonies. In this painting, I chose to base it around orange and blue, which are opposite colours. So I wanted the dog to pop against its background and also introduce the colour of the collar elsewhere. As you're moving through your painting, you also need to know which areas you're going to be painting with thick paint and where you're intending to just let the thinner paint of the previous layers show through. Contrast is really important in painting, whether it's thick, thin paint, opposite colours such as blue and orange, light or dark values. All of these things, they need to be decided before you actually have sat down and started painting. But I think the good thing is that all these things that I have discussed in this video, they can be learned through repetition and practice. Absolutely, totally can be learned. So I suppose when I approach the question of talent, I always think perhaps a talented artist is an artist who is prepared, and probably an artist who have thought about all the aspects of their painting and done their planning. And we can all do this. We can all sit down and plan our paintings before we start. So the great news is that we can all get better and we can all improve, no matter what your level. So I hope you have enjoyed my YouTube video today. I do try and post a new video every week. So please subscribe to my channel and I'll see you for the next one.